The sample and hold.
The sample and hold.
The sample and hold.
The sample and hold.
Sample and hold.
So what we're going to do is going to start out here with this low frequency oscillator, this voltage controlled low frequency oscillator right here. And we're going to grab a sine wave from that and plug that into the input on the sample and hold module. And you see that the sample and hold module itself has something called a clock rate, a trigger, a switcher, we don't know what that does yet, glide, and an input and an output. Now what I'm going to do is take the output of that sample and hold module and drag that over to the frequency modulation input on our oscillator here. So let's just play that and see what happens here. Well, that's kind of interesting. I'm not playing those notes by any means. I can't play that fast. So we're getting basically a kind of an arpeggiation effect. And that is the result of the sample and hold sampling that sine wave that's going in there. You can hear that there's a series of steps going up and down that are corresponding to the shape of the sine wave. And in a normal sine wave, if I take, here, let's just, in fact, we'll bypass this. I'm going to remove this connection here. I'm going to disconnect this connection here. I'm going to take my sine wave and plug it straight into the oscillator that we're controlling here, and you'll get exactly what you expect. That oscillator sweeping up and down according to the shape of the sine wave. And reconnect this, and we play that again. We get a series of steps. So what's happening is that the sample and hold will, at a particular clock rate, which is set by the clock rate up here, and which can also be changed with other things, but essentially it does a clock rate, which means that it is going to take a sample of the sine wave's amplitude, the sine wave's value at a particular time, and it's going to hold at that value until it gets the next clock tick. Let's try to get this at about 1 second or so. There we go. And let's play that now. So what's happening there is that that sample and hold is sampling the sine wave at the 1 second interval, and it's kind of picking not exactly a random value, because the sine wave, of course, is predictable, but because there's no synchronization between the sine wave and the sample and hold, what we're getting there is kind of an unpredictable sample of the sine wave at that point. And in fact, you hear there's a little bit of predictability there because we're kind of sampling the sine wave on the up sweep and then on the down sweep. But
The sample and hold.